did you become a graphic designer? This is the question most people have been asking me whilst I walk through this journey. Hi, my name is Ben Richmond, a graphic designer and a brand consultant with 7 years of experience in this creative field, helping brands to boost their sales with visual content, to expose themselves to boost their sales, and many more. I have designed a 14 days course on getting to know about graphic designing with Photoshop and CorelDRAW, learning the fundamentals and essential tools to create stunning visuals and to monetize a career in graphic design. Join me on this journey, on this 14 days journey, as we walk through the graphic design processes, the tools needed, and the things to do so that you can monetize every content that you create. Stay tuned on this channel. Follow me on all social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube as Richard Multimedia. Thank you. Hi, you are welcome to this episode of our Graphic Design Academy 1.0, and in this tutorial we are going to learn how to create a new document, open a document, and also save a document. So without wasting much time, let's hop into it. So whilst your Photoshop is open, you navigate to File. You can create a file, a new file or a new document by going to the menu bar and clicking on File, New. Or in this panel, you just click on New here, and it will open a panel for you to create a new document. So you come to this side and you name the file Tests Design. Change the size to inches. For now, that is what you're going to be using. Let's say the width should be 4 inches and the height should be 5 inches. Normally that is a resolution of 300. For Instagram posts, Facebook, WhatsApp, you can use this size for it. So let's say the document you are creating is 4, the width is 4 inches, height 5 inches, and the orientation is portrait. Color mode RGB 8-bit, background should be white, color profile sRGB. You hit create and it will create a new file, or we can go here and creating a new file again. When you come here, we can use the saved presets. That is the default saved preset, so you can choose any of them. Let's say we come here, we choose A4 size, landscape orientation. See, it changes the width and the height to that of A4, the size of A4, which is 297 millimeters by 210 millimeters. That's the height for A4. You hit create, it will create the new page for you. So that's all for creating a new page. And the next one is opening a new document. So if you want to open a document that you've already saved, this is how we open it. Sometimes if it's a recent file that you've just opened or you just worked on, you get it here at the recent panel here. So you can just click on it and it will open. So if it opens, see, when you open the document, you come and see all the layers here, the 2 by here. So if it opens this way, it means you've opened a document that you've already worked on, or a template. That is how it's going to appear. So let's close this one, or click on the open button here, navigate to where the file is open, select the file and you open. Or you go to File, Open, and you select the file and you open. Or you hold Ctrl+O, then you open. So on the empty space, hit Ctrl+O, navigate to the file, open. That's how we open a file in Photoshop. And saving a file, see, after working on your things, doing your blah 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 blah, saving for the first time, you go to File, Save As, choose the Save As type. You choose the Save As type, which is Photoshop PSD. Name the file Test Design 1. click on save. Don't show again, because we don't want this to show again, because this is the first time we are saving. 10 of maximum blah 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 blah. Hit OK. When the file is saved, sometimes we open documents, we open files. Let's say these images. Let me open this image. I want to open multiple images, so let me add another some images to it. I've opened this image. Hold Control key to select more, and open. So when you open it, it will come here on this bar here. That is where the files are going to open. Sometimes you open and everything will be scattered here. So if you want to fix that too, you come to Window, Arrange, Consolidate all tabs to bring the tabs to their right position. When you want to open a file here, you just go to where the file, you locate the file. Let's say that we want to upload this image file to our work, so we just drag the file to this place and hit enter. You see, when you come to the layers panel, you see that we've imported a file here. We've imported a file. So if you want to save this one too, you go to File, Save As, Test Design 2, Test Design 2 to save. When you close all of them, you see it will show up at your recent files. So if you want to open it again, you just click on it and it will open the work for us. Or we navigate where the file is. You see, we named it Test Design 2. So Test Design 2, we just drag it onto Photoshop, or we double click on it to open, or we go to File, Open, then we open the file again. So that's all for this tutorial: how to create a new document, how to open a document, and how to save a document. Thank you. Hi, in this tutorial we are going to learn how to smoothen the skin of this image and make it look very nice and smooth. So the first thing we are going to do is we will duplicate this image by dragging the background to the duplicate layer button down here, and we go to the tools panels and select the spot healing brush. You can use any of these spot healing tools here. We have the content aware, move to the patch to the healing brush, but for this tutorial we are going to use the spot healing brush too. So you increase the brush size. You can use the patch tool, you can use the spot healing, but for this tutorial, this is what you're using. You can change to the patch healing. You have to zoom in better so that you can get a precise thing you want to do. So after you are done with your spot healing and blemishes, you see this is the before, this is the after. After you finish it, you duplicate the layer again and you name this one original, and you name this one editing, because that is what you are going to be editing. So you right click and convert it to a smart object. Convert it to a smart object. You see, when we convert it to smart object, anything that we apply to this layer, we can change it at any time. You can edit it, you can do anything. So after converting the object to a smart object, you come to the menu bar here, go to image adjustment, invert, to invert the image. You see, as I was talking about how, converting to smart object. You see, when it's a smart object, when you toggle off this smart filters here, you come back to your normal image. It's not this image, it's not the original. You come back to the editing, because it's like we covering something with a cloth. So when you move the cloth from it, you get your original thing. When you put the cloth on it again, you see that the effect on the cloth will affect the image. So we invert it, change the blend mode to vivid light, go to filter, other, high pass, and you make sure you set your image to a mode that you won't see any dots or anything. Should be very smooth. So for this tutorial I'll go for 25. Hit enter, come to filter again, blur, Gaussian blur, and I will choose 5 because I want a little, I want to see a texture. You see, when you select 1 or 2, you won't really get the texture of the image. So I choose, let's say, I think 5 is better. You hit okay. It doesn't work for every image, so you adjust it to the image you are using, and you hold the shift key and press on the layer mask icon here to apply a negative layer mask to the smart object, which is the editing object here. And you come and pick your brush tool and make sure this place is white. The colors here, foreground color to be white and the background color to be black. You see, when you're editing on a black layer mask, that is how you select it. That is what you use for it. So you increase your brush size, set the opacity to somewhere 80. You can set it to 100. So for this tutorial sake, I'll set it to 80. The flow to be 100, brush size, and you start painting on it. You start brushing on the image. So this is the before, the skin smoothing, and after. Before and after. So you group this two by holding the control key and select this one, drag it to the folder button icon down here, or you hold it, you press Ctrl plus G to group the images. Ctrl plus G. So after that, you see this is the before and this is the after. Before and after. Thank you for staying with me. We are done for today's lesson. Hi, in this tutorial we are going to learn how to smoothen the skin of this image and make it look very nice and smooth. So the first thing you are going to do is we will duplicate this image by dragging the background to the duplicate layer button down here, and we go to the tools panels and select the spot healing brush. You can use any of these spot healing tools here. We have the content aware, move to the patch to the healing brush, but for this tutorial we are going to use the spot healing brush 2. So you increase the brush size and remove the blemishes. You can use the patch 2, you can use the spot healing, but for this tutorial this is what you're using. You can change to the patch healing. You have to zoom in better so that you can get a precise thing you want to do. So after you are done with your spot healing and blemishes, you see this is the before, this is the after. After you finish it, you duplicate the layer again and you name this one original, and you name this one editing, because that is what we are going to be editing. So you right click and convert it to a smart object. You see, when we convert it to smart object, anything that we apply to this layer, we can change it at any time. We can edit it. You can do anything. So after converting the object to a smart object, you come to the menu bar here. Go to image adjustment, invert to invert the image. You see, as I was talking about how, converting to smart object. You see, when it's a smart object, when you toggle off this smart filters here, you come back to your normal image. It's not this image. It's not the original. You come back to the editing, because it's like we covering something with a cloth. So when you move the cloth from it, you get your original thing. When you put the cloth
Hi.
on it again, you see that the effect on the cloth will affect the image. So you invert it, change the blend mode to vivid light, go to
Hi.
filter.
I
After
welcome you to today's
filter,
episode of graphic
high
design.
pass, and you make sure you set your image to a mode that
Francis,
you
what
wouldn't
happened?
see any dots or anything. It should be very smooth. So for this tutorial, I'll go for 25. 25. Hit enter. Come to filter again, blur, Gaussian blur, and I will choose 5 because I want a little. I want to see a texture. You see, when you select 1 or 2, you won't really get the texture of the image. So let's say I think 5 is better. You hit okay. It doesn't work for every image, so you adjust it to the image you are using, and you hold the shift key and press on the layer mask icon here to apply a negative layer mask to the smart object, which is the editing object here. And you come and pick your brush tool and make sure this place is white. The colors here, foreground color to be white and the background color to be black. You see, when you're editing on a black layer mask, that is how you select it. That is what you use for it. So you increase your brush size, set the opacity to somewhere 80. You can set it to 100. So for this tutorial sake, I'll set it to 80. The flow to be 100, brush size, and you start painting on it. You start brushing on the image. You start
Go
brushing
live.
on the image. So this is the before, the skin smoothing, and after, before and after. So you group this two by holding the control key and select this one, drag it to the folder button icon down here, or you hold it.
Hi. I welcome you to today's episode of our Graphic Design Academy 1.0. And in this tutorial, we are going to learn about our Photoshop essentials, the tools and the things that we are going to need to make our designs. And for the start, as we begin earlier, I sent some video links for you to try. So without wasting much time, let's get into it and start learning about our Photoshop.
Yes, we will duplicate.
Sound na meeting and Mohammed.
Hi, in this tutorial we are going to learn how to smoothen the skin.
When we enter into the Photoshop, there are some things we are going to need, which are the most important things that we need to know about Photoshop before we can start any design. So the first thing that we are going to need, the first three things, the basic things, is the tools panel, the options layer panel, and the layers panel. Those are the three panels that we are going to need when we are doing Photoshop, any work on Photoshop. That is what we will be using. And without wasting more any time, let's get into it again. So you open your Photoshop. You see what we were talking about in the earlier sessions. We were saying something about the menu bar. So when you talk about the menu bar, this is the menu bar as indicated in the lessons that I gave you. So we will create a new file, which we are going to create here, and set our width and height. Set our width and our height. So talking about layers, this side is where we are going to keep our layers. So this is the layers panel. We have channels, we have path, but the most thing we are going to use is the layers. So the layers panel, and we have the tools panel, and this is the option bar. You see, when you select any tool, if you want to make any changes or do anything with that tool, these are the options that you are going to have. So you just come, like if I select this and I have, let's say I have a box here, and I want to make any changes to the box. When I select the tool, this is the rectangle tool. This is the options I have. This is the options I have to this particular box that I have here. So right now I want to fill the box, the rectangle, with a color. Let's say a color red. Make sure you've selected the tool. I want to give it an outline of, let's say, this sea blue here, this sea blue here. I want to broaden the stroke of the rectangle. You see, when I enter 50 and I click enter, you see there's a change on on the rectangle. You can change the lines of the rectangle. You can do it. So that is where we have our options. You see, you select it and you get your options. And I thought about how to create, open and save a file in Photoshop. So for that one, when you go to the YouTube channel, you find it, and when you are doing it, pause, take your time, and watch the tutorials very carefully before you make any step. So without wasting more time, let's go straight into the skin softening, the assignment that I gave today. So we open our file browser, drag. This is the first file we are going to use for this tutorial. This is the first one. So as I said earlier, you are going to duplicate this layer by dragging to this place, or Ctrl+J to duplicate the layer. 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 So after that one too, you come and select your spot healing brush at the tools panel, the spot healing. Then you heal the spot. That is where you are going to fix the blemishes. This work is part of the assignment that I've given on the page. This is part of the works I've given on the page. So we will just fix the blemishes. I think this is the easiest one that I pasted on the page. This is the easiest. This is the easiest. So after that, you duplicate that layer 2 again, and you name the one original, the down one original, you rename it to original, and the top one to editing, which means that will be the one we are going to edit. And you right click and convert to smart objects. So after converting to smart object, you come to image, adjustment, invert, or you hold Ctrl+I to invert. So if you finish inverting, you select the blending options here, the drop down here, and change it to vivid light. So after vivid light, you come to filter, other, high pass. Whilst you selected the layer, and you can set the radius to any number that you feel comfortable with. But don't worry, because it's a smart object, you can change it at any time. You see it's here, so you just double click and change it at any time. So for now we are going to use the 15, and we come back to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and you increase the radius, you reduce the radius. You see, for the Gaussian blur, when you are reducing, that is when you get the smoothness and some little texture. But when it's more, you won't get any difference with the original and the edited. So we will maintain our own at let's say 3. It doesn't work for every image. It doesn't work for every image. So I'm doing for just this image. This one is just for this image. So after that, you hold the Alt key and click on the layer mask here to create a negative layer, or you click on the layer mask without holding the Alt key, and later you hold the Ctrl+I whilst you selected the layer mask here and invert. So after inverting, you come and select your brush tool, and make sure the opacity is somewhere. For this tutorial's sake, I will make it 100 so that you will see the effect it's having on the image. And after that, we start brushing. You see, when you are brushing, you just have to stay away from the corners. You have to stay away from the corners if you want a realistic image. You stay away from the corners. This one, I'll add her neck. You stay away from the corners, and when you are getting to the bright sides of the image, the brighter sides, you reduce the opacity and you brush. So after that, let me group these two, and this is the before and this is the after. This is the before and this is the after. This is the before and this is the after. So with this tutorial, we just have to follow this very carefully. You have to follow it very carefully. Very carefully. You have to follow it very carefully. So now that we are good to go, let's go to the next image. Let's go to the next images and let's work on that images for now. let's go to the next images and work on them. So moving to the next image, we will select one of these images, the images I posted on the page. There's one, so let's work on this ones too with the same format. And at the end of this tutorial, I'll be teaching you how to do this in just 1 minute. I'll be teaching you how to do this in just 1 minute. So again, we fix the spots here, we clear the blemishes. This time around, you see, when you have these difficult blemishes, you just have to make some changes, because this time around I'll need to duplicate this layer, or I just need to add an adjustment layer and brighten it a little so that I can see what I'm working on. You can see what exactly you are working on, so that the blemishes will come. Reduce the contrast or increase the contrast. Let's increase it so that we can get what you are doing. So you increase the contrast. You increase the contrast and comment. When you select this background layer, you duplicate the layer. Take our spot healing brush tool